We are at the home studio of Douglas Tharalson, and you're going to be so surprised. Not only is there painting and sculpture, but there's this magnificent artist I want you to meet. Come with me. I'm here with Douglas Tharalson, and I can't tell you how beautiful your studio is. So does the studio and your environment get you going to work every day, or do you just have to like pull it out of yourself to be the artist that you are?
Well, I built this for myself as a studio, and to be able to just walk from my home to
your
the
work?
studio. Yeah, well, I don't
studio.
call it work. You know, it's just what I do. And
It's a lifetime passion.
in a way, I looked around one time not long ago in here and realized this is precisely what I asked for, probably when I was 18 or 19 years old, just after getting out of the house, the home, and thinking someday I need a place where I'd be able to have everything I need to just walk in
And let the artist come out.
Exactly,
I know you
yeah.
to be a fantastic artist in every aspect of your life. So you play music, you paint, you build things. I think there's other artists that have done that, like Picasso, your guy.
Yeah, there was quite a few inspirations with that, but with the mentoring, my main mentor was a man named Gerard Zorthian, and I knew him since before I had gone out of high school. I found his complex up in the Altadena Mountains, and he sort of accepted me, and from that point, there was a time when I'd visit up there, and it was just, he was a builder and an artist and
An inventor.
in all aspects, you know. And so I used him as sort of a role model when I found him. And then after that, I just sort of went out looking for other mentors like that. You know, my goal was to just find people that were working in any kind of a creative atmosphere, and
So you never
learn from
wanted to
them.
you didn't have any dreams about being an airline pilot or a firefighter. You wanted to let the artist out for all
It just
all this
happened
time.
that way, and that's path of least resistance, I guess. And that's
I don't know. I think it's a man following his what he's born to do, and certainly your work from when you were a teenager to now must have really, doubled. All your work is really big and fierce work and beautiful and popping out on the wall and also timeless. I think your work is very timeless, and that comes from self-awareness and the beautiful artist in you and your lifestyle here on this beautiful ranch.
and the work is always changing. You know, I've only been painting for probably the last 15 or 16 years, let's say. And before that, I was following metal sculpture with found objects, and had some people that were very good at that, and that I mainly just needed to find places where I could get accepted by a master artist that I appreciated. And in the early days, that was my main goal, and there was traveling involved and just finding them. What was funny was it turns out later on I began to find that a lot of the older ones knew each other, from Gene Varda up in Sausalito. Turns out he was a very close friend with Gerard Zorthian back in the old days. And somehow this web just kind of
So do you find
connected.
yourself wanting to mentor other young artists like you were?
Of late, yeah, I've kind of, now that I am becoming, I guess, a senior artist, Gerard's gone, Varda's gone, and I just had it in my mind that maybe it's time for me to do the same. And I've always found that as far as me learning anything, the children, really, and the freedom of expression that they have.
How many children do you have, Doug?
Well, we have 4, and there was the last one who you met here, Isabel.
Beautiful woman.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and she was born on this property. But there's what I was meaning to say about the children was that one of the great comments that Picasso made that I sort of adopted to was he said, even though he had been his father was a master teacher, I guess, in Barcelona or in Spain, and he could do very detailed work, and he decided to move away from that. And one of the comments that he made was, it took me years to learn how to draw like a child. And he kind of realized that the simplicity and of what the children would come up with just out of their
own imagination and creativity.
Yeah, and that's when he started to turn in those directions, as far as from what I've learned with him.
Well, your work has evolved too, so I think that's part of the artist spirit, the evolution. I mean, when I'm looking for artists for the art festival, and I ask them, submit me a picture of your new work. I want to see where they're going and get some kind of feel about where they've been or whatever. And in every medium, I see changes and growth, and particularly with artists, because they're out there among it, and you definitely.
Yeah, with me, it's just always been. I know how to use tools and build these different. It's just one medium after the other, and when you say always looking for what this artist is doing that's new, I can't wait to see what I come up with next. And it's another comment that Paolo made was, he says, painting is stronger than I am. It makes me do what it wants. And there's many times when I've had a piece going in here, my wife will come in and she'll say, "Where's that nice painting that I liked so much you were working on a couple of days ago?" And I would say, "Well, this is
the evolution
this
of
is
this.
it," and it's completely changed into something different. And so I just sort of follow along, like I was being guided by whatever's going on that canvas. But the same thing with the sculpting and the metal.
So in the morning when you get up, do you think, today I'm going to do sculpting, or I'm going to just work in the yard, or does your studio call you in to come paint today?
It's moment to moment. You talk about now, at this time in my life, I can walk out here and it can be any. I don't leave the property too much, and so it can go from one. There's ongoing paintings, there's ongoing projects and things, and it just can move from one to the next. And it's not very organized, but this is the results,
The results are wonderful.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Also, I know you're a great entertainer, and that you've had artists come and make all these big food out in your yard, and everybody's welcome, and your neighbors all come in, and all the people that are invited, and I get the idea that a lot of them linger a long time.
Yeah, there's been everybody that comes here, they look around and they say, it's like a paradise, or it's just what an incredible spot this is, So to be able to share that with other creative people, musicians or artists, and as much as possible, like I said, that's where I gain a little bit more knowledge or information, or just the ability to. It inspires me to move forward with something, and again, I can't wait to see what it is that comes out of me or this next.
How about we take a little walk around and look at the grounds and look at the studio, and maybe you'll start painting in like 5 minutes, who knows?
Could happen. Anything can happen.
So it kind of surprises me that you would let somebody else pick up a paintbrush and paint on your work. It seems like that's your baby, that's your territory. But you're so open and free, and you just were showing me the pictures of these
Yeah.
children
This was
that are just passing by your work, and you offer them an opportunity to paint.
yeah, this is something I discovered at an art show that we do I've attended in Scottsdale, Arizona, where quite a few people show up. And one of the things that I've discovered was that the parents are with children, they're bringing them to the art show to get them to experience art, to
Yes.
inspire them. But at the same time, they're pulling them away, or they're saying, don't touch, be careful. And I noticed that. And so I thought maybe to allow them, because my work it's not something that is, a
Precise, like those little dots.
like a landscape and,
Yeah.
and all the precision. And so I would ask a kid standing there, I'd say, well, do you like to paint? And they'd say, well, yes, I do. And I'd say, well, would you like to paint right now? And the kid would say, what do you mean? I would then ask the parents, is it okay if I let your
the kid
kids
paint?
sit in the seat here? And the result was awesome.
So you just pulled over a chair and handed
I'd
the
bring
kid
them
one or
my-
two brushes?
Yeah, right at my easel, and
Yeah.
I'd just say, well, go ahead and paint. Here's these colors. And they'd start to do something, and then I would take a photograph of them. And I had a little printer. I could make a copy of that picture of them. And what was fascinating was catching them working.
They had the same
example.
look on their face
Yeah.
as you do.
Yeah,
when
I'd
you
call
work.
them
Yes.
and say, hey, I'd look over here. And they would be, so here they
Really
are
cute
working.
kids.
And I would give them, then they would be finished and they'd be so surprised that I allowed them to touch
Yes.
a work of art. They'd think it was something they should never do. But I'd hand them the photograph. And I'd say, look, this is for you. And the parents would always say, well, I'll take that. And every single time the kid would just say, this is mine, And then they would take that home and,
They would write back to you or
well, the inspiration
talk about
was,
their experience?
yeah, they'd just say, this one, for example,
Oh, yes.
Look
at that little kid. Yeah.
And he was so astonished that, that he was able to do something like that. And I've had parents come back to me say that they haven't stopped. I mean, a few, not all, but some parents have come back and said this was where they were kind of given the doorway to the door
being an
got kicked
artist.
open for them to be able to paint. And on a piece that I'm doing, that they leave and actually,
goes on.
many times I just left with their little spot, and I'd develop off of that. Like I said, it just keeps progressing from whatever's happening on the canvas. And if a child can do something and sort of teach you the simplicity of that. And at that point, at that show, not one of them ever took advantage and
Started spraying all over.
yeah, it was like they were just, I did
They
a
were
little
in it.
video. Yeah.
They were in it, and not only did they get the experience of the painting, but they were meeting an artist, and maybe they'll recognize your work or something like it. I mean, it's a whole thing.
There's
in
more
their
to it than
heads.
just
Yeah.
the fact that they were able to paint. There's the sensation of a brush on a canvas, and the fact that it's something that, and they feel that, and it
And some kids want more, and other kids want to run away. So
everyone that just said yes really appreciated it, and I had the feeling that helped to just sort of send them on their way with that. And parents would say, well, what should we do? Can you teach them? I said, it's really not necessary to teach a child. Just give them the tools, give them a place, and pretty much leave them alone. If they've got that kind of inspiration, if they're moving forward. And maybe that's kind of where I
it's kind of
develop my
loosey-goosey.
own.
And today's parents are not so loosey-goosey, but look what giving a brush to somebody can do.
Yeah, they
Let's-
want to give them a class, send them to class, or send them to school, or and then you've got to schedule.
I
At
know.
Thursday at 9 o'clock, you go to art school. You can't schedule inspiration. You can't schedule that sort of thing. So that's the way I learned, and that's the way I'm still learning. is to be able to just walk into a space, everything's there that you need, and
get going.
move forward from that. And like I
Do you
said,
ever have music in here, or
all
the
the time.
TV on, or?
Not TV, but I play music videos that I like, and I have a large system that I'll play the same one over and over and over again sometimes, just because
So do you
there's.
kind of dance around, or do you just?
It's mostly
focus
just the fact that that's the videos that I'm looking at, the DVDs that I'm looking at of in the music, are some pretty special ones as far as I don't know what to say.
Composition of the music, or?
Yeah, the artist and how
And
they
you.
perform on it, and so I'm able to just.
I would
use
put
that
on
as
Latin
inspiration.
music,
I'm a
shake my
great
booty,
fan.
and get going.
I'm a big fan of flamenco, the original old Pueblo style,
Oh, I like
Andalusian.
that too.
And that's the subject of a lot of my paintings, is the Andalusian gypsy flamenco.
Oh,
And-
yes, all those nice colors and the movement and
Exactly.
and the flesh. I mean, it's going. So tell me about this one. It's more than three-dimensional. How do you get it so thick? And it's coming at me. I mean, it's really 3D, and then you put the brushes in there and framed it in such a wonderful. This is metal?
It's a molding that was selected by the one man that
That
does
you
my
admire.
framing for
Oh,
me.
yeah.
And but this was, I did 3 of these built-out pieces like this, or three-dimensional, I guess you'd call it, or constructions. And this is the only one remaining. The others have sold. And just the idea of using fabric, some corrugated material, and then these are little bits of canvas from other.
You cut up your canvases?
Well, I cut up a palette. I use a canvas on the wall as sort of a testing pattern, and then I will take those and cut them into pieces, use them in different spots. That's what these are. These are the same sort of textures here. And again, bringing the
art and
the
the-
fingerboards out
Yeah.
to this, adding this. And this is the only remaining three-dimensional one of that series that I have.
Is this a candle holder?
Well, I'll tell you about this one.
Okay.
This is, what happens here is, again, working around the property or just building and different things. I have a great love for my old tools, and when the handles finally break off of them or they wear out, this one I just sort of commemorated there. I call this piece Old Friends. So you couldn't just throw these away. Here's an axe head with the handle broke off, and did a lot of work for me. This rake, a garden trowel, and then here's a shovel. Look at this little garden fork, and some hand clippers and things. So what I just kind of decided to do is I just put them together, and I named the piece Old Friends.
Old Friends. Oh, look at this door. Are these more found objects, or did you design this? Oh, the horseshoe.
This was leftover parts from handrails and different things on the projects that we worked on in the past. And this is kind of an interesting shape of a heavy piece of steel that was curved, we call it the hard way. This would be the easy way to bend a piece of metal like that, but these were all rolled in these directions for this top of this handrail. And so I decided, then I took it's called the square tubes, and structural steel. And I thought, well, if I cut some pieces of square tube just as thick as this, and put it at the top, it'll add a nice finish to each of these. And then this is just different scraps from other projects that we had done.
Did you have to make your own?
The hinges, yeah, I
Hinges,
make all the
yeah.
hinges.
Wow.
And then this is it's called an ornamental expanded metal. And this one was kind of unusual, so I put it in the back. And not long ago, I realized this sort of almost could be a figure of a man standing and that's kind of the name I gave it, was figure standing. Think of a Picasso where there's just this little
Definitely.
diamond, and then you're seeing the face in there, and the fact that it works.
Wow, it's been a great day. I want to thank everybody for joining me at Douglas's beautiful home and studio. If you'd like to, you can catch him on his website. And for more information on CTV, come and see us at the Art Festival. I'm so happy to have done this show today. Thank you.